HadesTown Part 2. I adore this play. I just have to say, if you haven't seen the first half, go and watch it because it is brilliant. First half of the episode, sorry. In this portion, we're going to get a little bit more into some of the epics, and I think that there's so much good here. And we might even see that my initial frustration about HadesTown has started to go away. There's a lot to learn today. Part 2, here we go.
But Going into Doubt comes in, I guess if we want to talk about that next. We're just going in reverse order.
Do we want to play some of it?
Sure.
Follow me into the cold and dark again. Where is she? Where is she now?
Off the ice, are you listening? I'm right here.
You're all right here.
And I will be till the end. And the coldest night of the coldest year comes right before the spring.
Against him? Who am I? Why would he let me win? Why would he let her go? Who am I to think that he wouldn't deceive me just to make me leave alone? Doubt comes in. Is this a trap that's being laid for me? Doubt comes in. Is this a trick that's being played on me? See the way the world can be, but now the way it is all I see. And where is she? Where is she now?
Orpheus, you are not alone. I'm right behind you, and I have been all along. The darkest hour of the darkest night comes right before.
It's you.
It's me. Orpheus.
Dang, we were just compelled to sit there and listen to Doppels.
That's so good. And what I think is interesting is I was talking about how I feel like his experiences over the course of the story are what bring his character to the point where he fails at the end. Because I think at the beginning he would have succeeded. And it's not like there's a single moment where it's just like, okay, now his optimism and his innocence are gone. There's a series of moments, you know. He still has it when he finds out Eurydice is dead because he didn't know that she left him. Once he finds out that she did leave him, he gets beaten up, then things are really rough, and he's singing, "Is it true?" And he's like about to give up. But then he bounces back from it, and he accidentally starts a workers' revolution. Throughout chant 2, like Hades is slamming him pretty hard and he's resisting it and he's kind of fighting back. And, you know, he sings Epic 3 and there's still this moment of like hope and afterwards a minute. I feel like the final straw happens like in this song when he's completely and utterly alone. And Chase was talking about it before when he's singing the love melody, the epic melody, whatever you want to call it. And for the first time in the entire musical, nobody sings it back to him. There's no chorus. There's nobody backing him up. He's just completely alone. And I don't know. Maybe it's just I famously have said that I like my media to hurt me. So maybe it's just that. But I love this idea of just seeing him gradually getting broken down from where he was to the point where he will fail.
Why do you think it is that you like your media to hurt you? Because you've said that enough times, but I realize I don't think I've ever asked you why.
We're worried about you.
I don't know. Maybe I just like to feel something. I don't know if I can completely articulate why I like things that are sad, if beyond just a search for feeling strong emotions amidst depressive numbness.
But well, there is something cathartic where that release of emotion comes that we need as humans. We need to mourn. And depression in a way is just the absence of mourning. It's defending yourself against something because you've already lost anyway, right? It's saying what I've experienced is not actually worth fully finding hope again. But you can't mourn something unless you recognize that something had value and that your life will be different without it. And I think when you said that, that kind of reminded me of all those experiences I've had watching a movie, and it's the first time I was able to express something that I was feeling. Something, for example, one of my favorite movies is Life is Beautiful. It's about a father who tries to shield his son from the horrors of the Holocaust. And it's incredibly well done. It articulated the important truth about love better than any other movie because it was a tragedy, because it hurt. So maybe that's part of it.
Maybe. That's a lot better articulated than anything I was going to try to come up with.
Yeah, just, this spirit came over me and then I just started prophesying like crazy right then.
Must have been it.
Yeah.
This is more focusing on like the narrative side than the themes, but I just love how the fates were handled in this musical. Because like you could take them out and on the surface you'd say like, oh, it wouldn't change that much, but just having them actually be like this villainous force that they don't care if the world comes back into tune. They don't care if Hades and Persephone get back together. They just want Eurydice. And the whole time, like if you paid attention to them throughout the whole musical, it's just so sinister, but it's so easy to miss, which is just, as a personification of fate is just perfect for this, with this like sneaking, creeping dread. And then in both of the Wait For Me's, they sing to Orpheus and basically say like, hey, you're dumb, don't try this. And you can hear the melody from this song playing in the background. And like the first time he just walks it off. The second time he's actually kind of shaken up about it. And they sing this song and they just finally get into his head.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive.
It's interesting because I view tragedies as saying, by the way, be careful of this. And when you say it that way, it's almost like, by the way, be careful of giving what you think fate is too much credence.
Yeah.
Like, be willing to change the future. Because if he didn't turn around, they would have made it. Like, the fates are a personification of the force that's trying to drag somebody into a certain thing. But the interesting thing about Greek mythology is that these are personifications that can be foiled. And all of their stories are about the fates being foiled, about the gods being foiled, about the forces of nature being changed. And it works really well to support that idea.
Yeah. Eurydice even says that she can change her fate earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Another way I've kind of viewed the Fates is as this sort of like antithesis to Hermes in a way, where like they're these two forces that are sort of like divorced from the rest of the story. Like they're not proper characters in the way that like Orpheus, Eurydice, Hades, Persephone are. They're
Hermes just shows up in hell and no one bats at nothing.
right. They're sort of the ones like kind of almost like coaching the story along. And Hermes is this idea of like the vibe you get from him is like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be impartial, but like I really like Orpheus, so, you know. And I mean, even just from like how he sings the opening and closing numbers, he gives the idea of like he wants things to turn out better, even though he knows they won't. And the way that I've kind of seen the Fates is as this force that are like opposing him and making sure the story progresses the way that it's supposed to. They're there to make sure that Eurydice does give in and go to HadesTown with Hades. They're there to make sure that Orpheus does break and give in to doubt. They're there to make sure that Hades doesn't just let them go without any stipulation. Like they are there to like guide the story along the way that fate has deciphered it's supposed to go, in spite of the optimism that like Hermes and the rest of the crew are viewing the story through.
It also is a reminder that it is just a story. And we often look at these stories and we're like distraught by the fact that this thing happened. And Orpheus is with us, and not Orpheus, Hermes is with us in that. But his presence also sometimes is him saying like, now you've experienced this pain. So when you sing the song again, you know, you don't have to view your life in that dismal state. Almost as a reminder, this is just a story that you can learn from, that when you participate in, you can do better than what they have to show.
No, I'm historically bad at smooth segues, but I want to talk about the epics. Because these are like a huge core of the story is this like magical, almost like mythical song that Orpheus is working on that's going to just fix everything. And that's how he presents it. Like when he sings the song, it'll bring the world back into tune. And I get the idea that he almost doesn't fully understand the implication and how or why that's going to work. Because like it does have this supernatural property, but I don't... Ultimately what it was reminding Hades and Persephone of the love that they had and helping them to fix the relationship that brought the world back into tune. There wasn't any like magical property of the song that accomplished that. It grew some flowers, and that was cool. It opened the walls to HadesTown, but it didn't fix the world.
Which, isn't that what he says in what's the wedding song where he's like, with my music, I'm gonna fix the
he's gonna bring everything back into tune, and he does, just not in the way that he thought, and not in like the magical way that like everything's gonna work out perfectly, and the rivers are gonna part and give us golden bands, and the birds are gonna come down and get us a bed. Like it was ultimately just reminding Hades and Persephone of what they had, and I love. There are 3 songs in the soundtrack that are called epic, and so they're sort of like his 3 different drafts of it almost.
Go on.
The lady loved him and the kingdom they shared, but without her above, not one flower would grow. So King Hades agreed that for half of each year she would stay with him there in his world down below. But the other half, she could walk in the sun, and the sun in turn burned twice as bright, which is where the seasons come from, and with them the cycle of the seed and the sickle, and the lives of the people and the birds in their flight.
Singing.
La 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 la.
Down below and up above.
La 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 la.
In harmony and rhythm.
La 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 la.
The gods sang a song of love.
La 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 la.
And the world sang it with them. But that was long ago. before we were on this road.
So each of the three versions of the epic are just sort of like a telling of the story of Hades and Persephone framed around this song that was the song of their love. And that one is just so matter of fact. It's like taken out of a textbook, basically.
Yeah, this is what happened.
They like each other. I do think there's a little bit more, though, because it does help you see that even these bigger than life beings had emotions and had love. And you very much see later that it's not that way anymore.
Right. And obviously, like, again, we're going into like, this isn't a mythological power the song has. So if it's not sung in front of Hades or Persephone, what's it going to do? But even just like picturing him singing the first two iterations of this song to Hades, this is just telling him that he was there. He knows what happened. Like, it's
Orpheus was there?
no, Hades was there. Like, just putting into perspective of like his attempts at creating this perfect song and why this version called Epic 1 wasn't quite there. I don't think that this would have touched Hades' heart, because it's just like, here's the story of how you and Persephone fell in love and how the world is supposed to be. You want to do something about that? It's just very, like I said, it does play, like what you were saying, it does play with this idea of like they used to have something magical that they don't have anymore, but it's still coming from a place that's very detached. For Orpheus is presenting it as,
Well, I mean, everybody has those experiences. Like, let's say, not like anybody in this room would understand, but let's say your parents get divorced and you go to them and you say,
I don't know anything about that.
but let's say you get to that point and you go to them and then you say, like, what? When you were young, you had passion for each other. They're going to say, yeah, frick that, you know?
That was long ago before fun. This was...
But it does show that the reason I like it is because there is that feeling of how important that initial love is. Like, you can feel it when you hear that song. And I think that is why that first one is important. Because we need to see, oh yes, that original love is important. That's what happens with Eurydice and Orpheus, is that original love, which so often in life gets corrupted.
Well, and you see that, you have the juxtaposition when you go straight from Epic 1 into living it up on top. Persephone just stumbles out of a train, chugs a bottle of wine, and starts being a disaster all over the place. Like, oh, something changed.
saying how much she doesn't like being with Hades.
She literally's like been to hell and back again. You're like, ooh.
That's rough. Yeah, every time I go to work, some future day. Yeah, I just got back from hell. My wife. Epic 2?
Epic 2.
King of silver, king of gold, and everything glittering under the ground. Hades is king of oil and coal, and the riches that flow where those rivers are found. But for half of the year with Persephone gone, his loneliness moves in him crude and black. He thinks of his wife in the arms of the sun, and jealousy fuels him and feeds him and fills him with doubt that she'll never come, dread that she'll never come, doubt that his lover will ever come back. King of mortar, king of bricks, the river Styx is a river of stones, and Hades lays them high and thick with a million hands that are not his own. With a million hands he builds a wall around all the riches he digs from the earth. The pickaxe flashes, the hammer falls, and crashing and pounding, his rivers surround him and drown out the sound of the song he once heard. La 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 la.
So yeah, the tone of this one is completely different, and the context has shifted dramatically from the first version of Epic that he's saying. You know, he's actually.
I want to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the only reason you don't have to apologize. I just have to say you've talked about Epic 1, 2, and 3 a lot throughout all of our conversations about this play, and just barely I understood why you're talking about them so much. Just barely. I have been over here like
Enough to get you up to a 9.
we'll have to.
Yeah, we'll reconvene later.
We'll get him after Act 3 when he's crying.
But the context of the story has changed at this point, right? Persephone's returned, spring has come back. You've had Living It Up on Top, which not only gives him this sense of like hope and euphoria, but he also gets some context to like, okay, things aren't quite the way they were as sung in Epic 1. Things have changed. Persephone and Hades are having some issues. And then you get way down HadesTown. You know, I like that the musical doesn't tell us how much time lapse is there. We know it's not supposed to be a full season.
It was less than 6 months.
It is less than 6 months, but we don't know exactly. But Hades comes back for her too soon. And there's this whole song singing about like, suck it up, here's the reality of the world. And singing about how awful everything is in HadesTown and how like cruel Hades has become. And then
Fates are like, but he has money.
And so not only does he have this different perspective, but now right after that, there's this idea of like the weather is getting really bad and Eurydice is like desperately like, we need to fix this. We need to figure something out. And so he's, not only does he have a different perspective on this story of Hades and Persephone, but there's like a desperation of trying to get the song finished and bring everything back together. And so I think because of all of that, this song feels like it is coming from in where the last one was very detached, this one feels very personal in that he is like resentful and he is being critical and judgmental of Hades and the decisions he's made and the mistakes that he's making. But at this point, he's still too naive and kind of short-sighted to realize that he is falling into this and he's about to drive Eurydice away through the same mistakes that Hades is making.
So close. Just one more part now that you finished this video. It'll be coming at you probably in around a week. I hope that you enjoy.